Whoever came up with the saying, ignorance is bliss, definitely did not work in accounting, finance, or accounts payable, or for that matter, any job that uses technology. Oh, wait a minute, that's just about all of them. Many organizations are rushing to implement automation projects of all sorts, and it's not surprising. They promise more accurate processing and mind-blowing cost savings. But let me ask you something. Have you ever dived into a project thinking it's going to be smooth sailing, only to find yourself dealing with the most unexpected challenges, issues you never saw coming? If you'd only known about them beforehand, you could have prepared. Well, we've got you covered. We've identified 5 such surprises, and of course, we have solutions you can use to thwart these shockers in their tracks. Make sure you stick around until the end when we share the one that leads to many head-slapping moments. Surprise number 1. Management had unrealistic expectation. They've gone to a presentation, or maybe at a conference where somebody gave a case study, or perhaps they've sat in on some of the sales calls with the service provider who's offering the solution, and they've listened to all the promises made and all the wonderful things are going to happen, and then they expect the same from your project. And then they authorize the money, you finally get the budget allocation. It's not a huge amount of money, but they acted like it was the end of the world giving it to you, and you go out and you start the project. And of course, management expects that in 48 hours, especially if it's an accounts payable automation solution, you're going to have it up and running, and you're going to be able to allocate half your staff to some other projects, a long list of which they probably have. Okay, and of course that doesn't happen. So what you want to make sure that you do so that this doesn't happen to you is right off the bat, when you get started, you want to set realistic expectation. And you can do this by, first of all, getting some statistics from the service provider, but be cautious about what they're telling you because, they're trying to sell a solution. You can talk to others who have already implemented this and find out what pitfalls they ran into, how long it took, etc. And so by getting all this information together ahead of time, you can hopefully rein in some of the unrealistic expectations. Because if you don't, you're going to be batting your head against the wall throughout the whole project. They're going to look at it as a failure, even though it was really a success. And they're looking at it as a failure because, it wasn't up and running and all your invoices on it, within 2 weeks. Okay, surprise number 2. Utilization of whatever the automation solution is won't happen overnight. It will be lower. You can expect lower utilization off the bat without some additional effort. One of the things that we hear when we talk to the invoice automation solution providers and the accounts payable automation solution, not so much the providers, they will tell you, utilization is a little higher, but when you talk to companies that are actually using the solution, it's not uncommon to hear of utilization of 50%. Now, that might sound horrible, you put the solution in and only half the people are using it, but that's half, for example, with invoices that you're not getting in over the transom and you're not having to deal with. So it is a big savings, and over time you can get the utilization up a lot higher. Even the best practice organizations who really, do their best to get everybody on board, moving, doing the right thing, I've yet to hear of a project that had 100% utilization. I think I heard about one that had 97%. And even if it's, user-friendly, and really there should be no reason why everyone isn't using it, it doesn't happen, and it definitely doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without your organization putting in a lot of effort, human effort, to do the training, get people convinced, hold their hands, etc. Surprise number 3, your staff will throw up all sorts of roadblocks, not robots, and without telling you what their real concern is. Their real concern, as you probably can guess, is that they're worried that if this automation project is a big success, that you won't need them anymore and their job will be at risk. But they won't say that. They'll say it won't work, this doesn't work, it's too hard, and all all sorts of things that really have nothing to do with anything except that they are concerned about their job. So in order to minimize this problem, I don't think you're ever going to get rid of it completely, but in order to minimize this problem, number one, address it. Number two, especially if you are going to reassign people to other tasks, especially if it's more meaningful work that maybe will help them get promoted at some point in the future, you want to explain that, and then you want to offer the training. Make sure that they understand, that they're an integral part of your organization, and also talk to them about you're going to need them for quite some time to get your whoever's supposed to be using this automation solution on board. So in the case of accounts payable or invoice automation, they're going to have to work with the suppliers to get them on board. Surprise number 4, being user-friendly, which many of these solutions are, does not necessarily translate into your end users, and in the case of accounts payable or invoice automation solutions, your suppliers learning how to use it on their own. There can be that very best tutorial online that all they have to do is sit there and spend 45 minutes going through it, and they'll be an expert at it, and yet the suppliers won't do it. Why won't they do it? Because they're already overworked, and your solution, the solution that you're using, is just one of many solutions that their other customers are using, and they don't have time to spend, even if it's only half an hour, going through the tutorial for your system, and then they're all their other customers. So you're just going to have to understand that they're not going to do it. You're going to have to hold their hand, and hopefully over time you'll convert them. This is also part of the reason why you don't get the utilization that you thought you would get right up the bat. So you're going to need staff to actively encourage them and hold the supplier's hands and to get them ready to use it. Okay. The real solution, as I see, to this particular issue is to buy a solution, and many of them today have it, that can read, in the case of invoice automation, can read the invoices that are emailed in, because we seem to have had a lot of success in getting people to email invoices. So if it can go in and directly read the emails, then you've accomplished a lot. Okay. And surprise number 5, the salesperson was really telling the truth. When they told you that today's models were really user-friendly and affordable, they really were. Some of them require no training, some of them require only the smallest amount of training, but they are user-friendly. As I said, they weren't lying when they said that, and they will be easy to use, and they will not cost that much. So if you've been holding back and you think, oh, technology, new technology, it's going to be a nightmare, it in all likelihood won't, unless you buy a very complicated model. But if you get one of the more basic models, they are really user-friendly. If they can read, for example, the invoices directly from the email, that's another big saving. And if you haven't looked, we do encourage you to take a look, to see what's out there, to see if there's something that would fit your needs and your company's pocketbook. You really only need to know the smallest amount about automation to investigate the options that are on the market today. That's why we recently put together a guide, Automation, A Comprehensive Introduction, which you can watch right now using the link that has appeared on your YouTube screen and is in the description. Good luck.